into the next wonderful world. And of course, there were a lot of that mixed up with this. And that world, of course, belongs with fundamentals. And our shining light in that regard is with us next. And her name is Alexis. Hi, Alexi. How you doing? What's going on?
Hi, Geoff. Great to be on.
Great to have you, as always.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to talk about the Swiss a little bit. It's an interesting place that the Swiss is in. And traditionally, I'm not a big fan of the Swiss because it's not an easy currency to trade. Being a risk-on, risk-off currency, sometimes it's hard to kind of have an idea of where it'll go. But this article popped up, and if you actually take a look at a bit of the statistics that are coming out from the Swiss side, it seems that the Swiss is doing pretty well, and with that comes, of course, the confidence, right? So a couple of ideas I have regarding the Swiss currency is being a risk-off currency. If there's risk perceived in the currency in the markets, the Swiss franc is one of the currencies where people park in a very easy to understand way. It's just to park their funds while waiting for risk to pass, right? But on the other hand, if you are looking for a currency base to invest in, or you are looking for assets to invest in, Switzerland seems to be doing pretty okay, and that's because the central bank is, has been increasing its investment portfolio in a way. So let me see where's the figures over here. So the Switzerland Central Bank has made more than 47 billion. So this is in USD in the past 6 months. And it's pushed its reserves to more than 1 trillion in value for the first time. So what it means in comparison to the rest of the sovereign wealth funds is that, the huge gains means that the bank now has an investment portfolio larger than most of the world's biggest sovereign wealth funds. So it's comparable to holdings of China, and considerably larger than the Swiss economy itself, which reported a GDP of 824 billion in April. So I think just taking the broad-based sentiment of the Swiss economy, it will be interesting to see whether this sentiment flows or trickles down to the Swiss, right? So if we just compare the two risk-off, risk-on currencies, which is both the Swiss and the yen, you can see that what interests me at this point is you can actually see the Swiss starting to pop out of this range. So it has been ranging with the yen for, I think, June to almost 2 months. So what is interesting that it is starting to pop out of this range, and of course, if the good feelings continue, I would be keen to see whether the previous highs can be hit on the Swiss. If we scroll through the other Swiss pairs as well, you can see CAD Swiss is very nicely trending on the downside. Again, we are also, it is preparing for a break down this level. So CAD Swiss short would mean a stronger Swiss against the Canadian dollar. So I'm particularly looking for technical setups that will allow this Swiss sentiment to go in my favor, right? So what I'm looking for next week is potential for Swiss longs or counter Swiss shorts, right? So CAD Swiss, I'm looking for a short opportunity. Euro Swiss as well. Euro Swiss might have actually flown past but actually gone past, it's already broken out really early over here. So we might be a little bit late into the Euro Swiss, but it's good to see if we could get some retracements before it hits down. Kiwi Swiss as well, just about broke out of this range over here. All right, so it'll be interesting to see whether it comes back and retest this area before heading back down. So all these are on the daily time frame. Pound Swiss. Let me see, where is Pound Swiss? Pound Swiss, again, it is at the bottom of the range over here, you can see. So again, what I'm looking for is possibilities of Swiss longs. So I'm trying to see whether, on the back of the Swiss coming out strong as a risk-off currency, whether or not it will take off in the sense of a sentiment-based trade. That's all I have. So I'm looking out for Swisses next week. The rest of the currencies, I think, can't really see where they're going now. A lot of things happening. The Jackson Hole, as Julian has mentioned, the non-farm next week. So a little bit hard to probably see the rest. We'll see if the other guys have any more tips for us. Back over to you, Geoff.
Thank you, Lexi. Much appreciated. Looks to me like that Swissie's got either one of two things going. It might be a little bit binary with that breakout on the daily chart that showed me Swissie yen. Interesting. That's either going to go or it's going to come back. False
Yeah.
or not. Interesting. I'll have a look at that chart myself as of tomorrow. Thank you for pointing it out. Really, really nice. Okay, Lexi, when do we see you next?
I'll probably be joining Lloyd tomorrow on Trading Buddies, I think.
Oh, that show. That'd be good. Fantastic. We look for, that's around about 5 minutes to 3 in Singapore and Hong Kong. Okay, we look forward to that, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. Thank you, Lexi. Much appreciated.